Welcome back, y'all, to the Check Swing Podcast with myself. Of course, the brains and brawn of the whole situation, my man, Coach Sanders, who's down in
Baltimore, having big fun.
Absolutely. Welcome back to the show. We got a lot. We got a lot to talk about. A lot going on in the world of sports. Some stuff that just dropped down. But of course, first we want to apologize for not being on yesterday. Let me adjust my camera a little bit. As Miguel had posted, due to circumstances beyond our control, some things happen. But we'll get into that later. But first, let's get into this. We got a lot of sports to talk about, but I like to talk to my people and ask them how they've been before every show. So, Miguel,
Sir,
how you been?
I got a bone to pick
Uh-oh.
with the city of Baltimore and how they handle snow because this is crap.
Talk to me. Talk to us that, I've never lived in Baltimore.
So today it was decided by people that are not in the know or in the know to do random snow removals and randomly stopping traffic for 10, 15 minutes at a time while they put the snow into these trucks. So my normal commute, which is normally 22 minutes, was an hour and 12 minutes.
Ooh, wow. Wow. Defeats the purpose of being so close to your place of employment.
Yeah, when this happens, it does. So it was just a bit of it was an annoyance. I get that the snow has to be removed, and initially they were preparing for a second storm, but now it looks like by all accounts it's not going to hit us or not be as intense as they initially thought. So it's not Armageddon Part 2. Still annoying nonetheless.
Well, I guess that's really a good thing for some of these cities that's really not. Well, I don't know if any city is really handling this snowstorm well. Um, I had a couple of days off of work, and it was great. I just say that it was. Well, I guess kind of great. I mean, you snowed in, which is fine. Got to do some shoveling. It comes with the territory, but just having that brain break for a couple unexpected days, even though we were kind of expecting them, it was a good thing. It was a good thing. Which kind of led to yesterday, and I'll talk about briefly what happened to me, but yesterday I get to work and I back in. And like I said, yesterday was my first day back to work um, since the weekend. Back in the parking spot, I get out the car, and it sounds like something is still running in my car. Some type of gas or something is still actively functioning in my car. I'm like,
Did
okay,
you have did you have Taco Bell again?
did I what? No, no,
Sorry.
no. Um, but then, long story short, I realized I had a my tire was going flat. I was hearing air. It sounded like something off of TV, just air just shooting out my, just shooting out the tire. Right, it sounded like something like was leaking liquid. But which then turned into like an all day affair, in which I didn't get home until about quarter after 2 in the morning.
What?
Yeah, yeah. It was quite the quite the adventure. I tend to find myself in situations where it's like, really, that happened. Case in point, did I ever tell you? And I may have told you. I've told many people. Did I ever tell you about the time my alternator went bad on my way to Atlantic City?
Mm-mm.
All right, I'll make it real quick. I was on my way to Atlantic City, and I'm on 95, and I noticed my headlights. It's nighttime, so my headlights are a little dim. Right, my headlights a little dim, and I'm not thinking about it. But, maybe I'm tripping. I get on the Walt Whitman Bridge, and I have like no power in my vehicle. Like I can't go more than like 15 miles an hour. I can't put my hazard lights on. I can't put my window down to like tell people go by me. I thought I was a goner that night. I thought one of two things was going to happen to me. I was either going to get smacked into by uh,
A bread truck.
like a big old truck or something, just barreling down, or somebody was going to think I was some type of terrorist and was going to and they were going to take me out.
Allah Akbar.
Like I, that's racist.
Sorry.
That yeah, I was legit scared that at that moment. But yeah, there's always something with me every now and then. Um, but now that we got that out the way, we got the particulars out the way. Of course, hit us up in the chat if there's anything that you want to if you want to comment on anything that we are saying today, and we could display your chat um on the screen. But the Super Bowl 60 is set. Super Bowl 60 is set. And Miguel, if I asked you before the season who's going to go to the Super Bowl, and you said, "Oh, Seattle and New England,"
Sure I did.
I would have thought you was crazy. I'd have said you're out your doggone mind. Seattle, are you serious? No way. But it's where we are, Seattle and New England, and um, it's a rematch from 11 years ago, which I think if you're a fan of football, you remember where you were 11 years ago watching that Super Bowl as they did not give the ball to Marshawn to win the game. I remember exactly what it was. I was working at Comcast Spotlight watching the game up on the screen and wondering along with my coworker, why didn't they give the ball to Marshawn? Which probably everybody in the world was probably wondering the same thing. Anyway, Miguel,
Sir.
I'm not sure if it's just the Eagles fan in me. I kind of have no interest in the Super Bowl. Like none. Like I'm going to watch because it's the Super Bowl, but I don't really have. Maybe I need this week build up. The Super Bowl is going to be in not this time, but the following. Maybe I need this week build up because I do have interest in Seattle's defense. Their defense is fun to watch, but that's it. Like, I don't know what New England does well. I don't know what they don't do well. How did New England I don't know. Talk to me, Miguel. What's up?
I
What's
mean,
your feelings on the
it's
Super Bowl?
it has the potential to be a lower scoring Super Bowl because I think both defenses are pretty good. Um, but I do remember that Super Bowl the from 11 years ago. We actually had a live feed in our church basement, so all the men um, at our church were watching that. I think it was the second Super Bowl in a row that we did that. And I just remember it was the first time I was ever mad at the end of a game because it was a stupid call. It was stupid.
Had nothing to do with you as being your team, right?
It wasn't even my team. It was the dumbest play I've ever seen on that high level platform.
You big dummy.
Right.
That's for Pete Carroll and the Seattle Seahawks 11
It's
years
like
ago.
he literally outcoached himself. He outsmarted himself on the biggest play in the biggest moment. It erased that great catch that happened just the play before
That never gets
by
talked
Curse.
about.
It was one of the greatest Super Bowl catches in history, but it goes down and it goes into the sea of forgetfulness because of that play.
Yeah, yeah.
So parts of me doesn't want to see yet another New England Super Bowl, but then parts of me, I don't know. I've always rooted for the underdogs when it comes to the Super Bowl, except for when the Eagles are the favorites. We weren't favorites last year, were we?
I don't think we were ever favorites.
Yeah.
I don't think we were.
But I also wondered too. I didn't hear as much last year about people not caring about the Super Bowl than I did maybe a few years before that. But I don't know.
Yeah, it's the NFL is going to have to really do a good job, I think, of really Don King. I like to say Don Kinging things up. He's going to have to really. They were going to do a good job of Don King in the Super Bowl up and really telling us fans of other teams why we should be interested in this Super Bowl in particular. It's just I funny thing is I probably can't name three players on each team. And that's including I can name both quarterbacks. But outside of that, I think Stephon Diggs plays for New England, right?
Yeah.
Um,
How about that after asking out of Buffalo and now he's in the Super Bowl?
how about that? That's an interesting story too. We might have to talk about that one day. Um, real quick mention that because I'm going to talk some Eagles, right? Real quick mention, basketball, real quick. Congratulations to VJ Edgecomb, Philadelphia 76ers rookie. He's been named to the Rising Stars. What they call it? The Rising Stars Challenge now? I don't know. Rising Star. I mean, they do like a whole little tournament now. So shout out to him, man. He's a really it's fun to watch. Just like kind of Tyrese Maxey, he's a fun kid to watch. Actually, the Sixers are on right now, playing against the Sacramento Kings. So you don't have to turn away from us to see. It's halftime anyway. Um, so check us out during the halftime. So congratulations to him. Let's talk about some stuff that just came down the pike early, maybe about a couple hours ago. If that Eagles have hired a offensive coordinator, and it's not a name that
Yay.
we're like, yeah, well, I want this guy. I want this guy. I don't think any of us are really thinking about this guy. Um, but the Packers quarterbacks coach Sean Mannion has been hired by the Philadelphia Eagles to run their offense, and uh, I'll just say this, Megan, and Megan, I'm gonna let you talk about Mannion real quick. 2 years of coaching experience. He was just a player 2 years before that, before his coach's experience. So, Miguel, Sean Mannion. I'm not going to ask you whether or not it's a good hire because we're not going to know until the season starts. We're not going to really know until the season's over, but we may know something halfway through the season whether this is a good hire. What are your feelings on the hire? Not a splash.
It's not. I mean, okay, so he worked with Jordan Love, who had a 66% completion percentage, 23 and 6, touchdowns, interceptions, 3,300 yards passing. Um, Although he didn't seem to really come through in the clutch. We already have that problem.
Hmm.
Um, but the Eagles have possibly the most expensive offensive roster in the NFL, and lastly, we were 19th in points per game
Something like
and
that.
24th in total offense, and I think we led the NFL in three and outs. So, I mean, I guess sure, let's go with something new. And I know I saw one comment about, well, they got Andy Reid as a quarterbacks coach from the Green Bay Packers. I'm like, yeah, he had Brett Favre and coming off of a Super Bowl appearance and a Super Bowl win. So there was a little bit more pedigree to go off of versus this guy. So
I didn't even think about that. I didn't even put that in there. Andy Reid came to the Eagles from being a quarterbacks coach. He came to be a head coach from a quarterback coach.
well, and that was one of the first times that it was done because I remember back then it was literally you didn't have the slew of coaches that you do now
Right.
because you pretty much have an offensive defense coordinator, head coach, and maybe like an assistant coach. But now you have a positions coach. You have for every section of the defense, for every segment of the offense, and you have quality control coordinators. It's like you have such a big influx of coaches to run your team on a day-to-day basis. So that was unheard of. But I don't know. Like you said, there's not much to go on. You just have to see what he can bring to the table this year, and hopefully, if he does good, he doesn't bolt and try to get a head coaching job someplace else like next year.
Yeah, I'm thinking like
You know what the Eagles need to do? They need to stop allowing these interviews because we were going to interview somebody from the Cowboys and they blocked it.
blocked it. Yeah.
But they got our defensive
Defense.
backs coach to be there. It's like, why are we just willy nilly just letting them interview? It's like honor your contract. After that, then yeah, go ahead and interview. But
Yeah, I mean that's a good statement, by it's a good question. Like what why are you I mean, I guess they don't want to block somebody's opportunity to grow, I guess. I mean,
man,
I guess if you do that, if you do things like that, that probably gets around the league as I'm just thinking it's not a good look. Like coaches may not want to come to your organization if you're going to block them from progress.
other teams do it. Is all I'm saying.
Other teams do it. You're absolutely right. I'm wondering if those same teams get the prime coaching selections. Um, Though I have to see Sean Mannion, new offensive coordinator for the Eagles. Excuse me. Um, and I believe Nick Sirianni has said that he's going to call that Mannion will be calling plays.
I mean,
We'll see about that too.
that's a given.
I wonder if he called any plays in New England. I mean, in Green Bay. I doubt it because who's that? That's LaFleur, right? LaFleur calls.
Lefleur, yeah.
I believe he calls the plays out there. All right, so we have a video real quick, and we're going to get to. It's the same video that's in there, right?
No,
Okay, so we're going we're going to change it up a little bit. Um, but after the video, we're going to talk a little bit more. We got some Phillies talk. Um, and by the way, Harrison Bader signed with the Giants, so I guess
I
that's
know, but it's only a 2-year deal. It seems like a lot of these guys are signing short-term deals, but I think there's a certain strategery behind it.
I feel like Harrison Bader is probably a 2 year deal guy though. Like I
True.
don't see anybody committing like a 7 year to him.
Yeah, because he hasn't. Don't want to say that he's injury prone, but he doesn't play full seasons. But
Yeah, yeah, and it's hard to invest in something like that. All right, so this video doesn't need any type of introduction.
it's gonna hurt.
Okay, here we go.
Goodbye, goodbye.
Pass out. Then my head hit the wall.
They with the rat pack.
Mm. It's a lot of falling, a lot of mishaps there. I feel bad for homie that what's it called? The gender reveal.
Completely airmailed it.
like terribly, like over the backboard, over the fence, behind the backboard. Uh,
I think
you
that's what happens to men that wear pink shirts with matching pink shorts, and they're above 6'6". Yeah,
hold on, wait a minute, say that again.
I said, well, I think that happens with guys that wear pink shirts along with pink shorts and are over 6'6".
I mean, maybe I here's the thing. I'm gonna say this real quick, and we can move on. If you're gonna do a gender reveal, right? Which I mean, that seems to be a trend. That's cool. Um, and you're gonna do an athletic gender reveal. Let's be sure you have athletic ability.
Take some warm up shots or something, you know.
Make sure you have some athletic ability before you
Go to the shoot around, warm up a little bit.
because I'm gonna just put it to you like this. From a man's perspective, and I'm not speaking for any women out there because a woman will get on him like, it doesn't matter. No, I'm speaking from a man's perspective. You do something athletic in front of like friends and family, and you look like a total unathletic person. That's embarrassing to the woman. You just embarrassed your lady, fellas, in front of everybody that she invited to find out the gender of her kid that's in her womb. Just so y'all know. Just so y'all know. All right. So real quick, not real quick, but real quick. The Phillies seem to be running it back. Okay. Um, no splashy signings. Like I mentioned earlier, they didn't bring back Harrison Bader. He just signed a 2-year deal with the San Francisco Giants. Miguel, you are the resident baseball guy, right? That's why I mean, we're both baseball coaches, but you're a baseball guy. The Phillies have had pretty much the same roster the last few years. They've been to a World Series, lost to a team that was better than them. And they haven't been back since with this same group of guys that have gotten older. I'm swaying it for you. Is this enough to bring home a title as currently constructed?
It's hard to give a yes or no, but I can do it this way. If Wheeler comes back as your ace, as he was last year on his way to a Cy Young Award, if he comes back to that same form, if the bullpen doesn't collapse like it did against the Dodgers last year,
Hmm.
and if guys hit in the playoffs, then yes, I think as constructed, the potential is there. And the reason why I say that there's so many what ifs, it's been argued that the Phillies are running it back. I get it. Mainly because of Schwarber, your big guys, your Schwarbers, your Harpers, your JT Realmutos, they've been around for 5, 6, 7 years. I get it. But they are starting to kind of turn a little bit. Like we're still trying to get rid of the Castellanos. His contract's not going to be an easy thing. It's not easy to just wipe out $20 million. It just ain't going to be easy. They're going to have to eat the majority of that money. But I've been saying this for the last 2 years. I've been looking forward for Justin Crawford to come up. It looks like they're giving him the shot to be the everyday center fielder, which is great. I know a lot of people are down on Odolis Garcia. I actually like that signing because of, and I think I said this before when we signed him, he's a dog in the postseason. Like, he's that guy that you want to like pump up the crowd, and he plays great defense. He's like a 90% upgrade on defense.
And we need a dog in the postseason because we ain't
and we
got
need a dog in the postseason outside of Harper. Because I think Harper pressed a little bit, trying to rekindle what he did in 22. Um, I think he could potentially take the pressure off of Schwarber and Harper. Um, but our outfield looks faster, better defensively, so that's a plus. I think Johan Rojas is either too small or just not. I don't think he's going to be the hitter that they want him to be. But I mean, it'll be his third season in the big league, so we'll see if that turns around. I
Oh,
don't
you
like
think,
Brett.
you think he's gonna be on the big league roster?
I think if for nothing else, as a fourth outfielder, because he
Okay.
plays great. He's a great defensive player,
Absolutely. Absolutely.
but you know he might be your defensive replacement for like a Brandon Marsh in left. You know what I mean? Um, and I don't. I know people like Marsh because of the long, ugly hair, and he looks like if it were Baltimore, he looked like somebody from Dundalk, or if he was in Philly, he would look like somebody from K&A. I'm just calling it like it is. He looks like a
You know what he
crack.
looks like to me? He looks like I guess with the hair, right? He looks
Yeah.
like somebody from the WWF in like the 90s that would have been battling for the Intercontinental title.
Right. And my question is, you're a baseball player. Why are you always wet?
Yeah, he wets his hair purposely.
Which is whatever. He looks like he's either he's dropping off. Um, he looks like he's dropping off a bedspread on 95, like illegally dumping it, or picking one up. Okay, that's what it looks like to me.
But let me say this before you continue. I do want to say this about Brandon Marsh because I kind of like Brandon Marsh most of the time. I feel like this is the season that he's got to prove it. Like this is I think this is the season. It's like, okay, are you going to step up and be that player that teams will need you to be, or are you just going to, or is this what you are?
Right.
What we've seen. I think this is that season for him.
Yeah, I agree. I kind of thought it was last year only because they were telling us, oh, he's so much better against lefties now, and he was great with against lefties for literally 2 weeks, and then he wasn't. You know what I mean? I just don't think he's an everyday player. He can take over for somebody that's injured for a short period of time, or he can bat against righties. That's it. I think he's a platoon player. I don't think he's going to be. I hope I'm wrong. This is the way I coach. I want players to prove me wrong. I hope he proves me wrong. But just like with Aaron Nola, there's a pedigree there, and when you keep doing the same thing over and over, expecting a different result, someone's crazy.
A little bit of insanity. A little bit
A
of
little bit,
insanity.
a little bit.
So it's going to be interesting to see, man. I personally don't think it's enough to
Well,
run it back.
one more.
I guess technically they're not. I'm gonna let you. I'm gonna let you. I guess technically they're not running it back, but in a lot of ways they are. Go ahead, Miguel.
So yes and no. I like what they've been doing. They've been stacking up players on the bullpen. I will say that they have a lot of non-roster invitees. Um, so basically, Major League Baseball players that are like they can't go to the minor leagues, but you figure you give them a shot, at one of the last like two or three spots on the club. But they got this guy Brad Keller from I want to say he's from the Cubs, and his ERA was like something like south of 2. Um, and pitching in Chicago is not very easy. So I'm like that on paper is a good signing. Jonathan Bolin from Kansas City, starter, mainly a reliever, can give you 2 or 3, junk innings if need be. Um, they got this guy, Jonathan Hernandez, who was on the Rangers. He was in the World Series a couple years ago as the Rangers closer. until he had an arm injury. So it's like I like what they did with the bullpen, to kind of protect everything on that end. And I think they're going to need it this year, especially if Wheeler's not going to be back until May or June, because he's not going to start the season on the roster because of his injury.
Yeah, they've definitely made some, and that's when I was talking about. And I'm glad you mentioned it. That's what I'm talking about. Like they're kind of not running it back because or the
Mhm.
majority of their changes came in the bullpen. So they're not running it back with the same bullpen. They got Romano out of there, right? Romano's gone, right? Um, that was a disappointing signing. I think there was big expectations for him, and he maybe had one great expectation land. Um, this one's interesting. Donald Trump is reportedly going to meet with sports commissioners about America 250 plans. As you know, this is the 250th anniversary of the United States of America. Um, I'm going to be very careful about what I'm not going to say. But it's the 250th anniversary of America claim. Let me be very careful about what I'm not going to say. If you want to hear what I would like to say, just check out Here's the Thing, and I probably would probably mention it there, but I'm not gonna mention it on this show because it's not that type of show. At least not supposed to be. It ends up like that sometimes. Anyway, um, but guy, what's this about? I mean, it's is it gladiator games? Like, what are we doing here?
That's what I thought initially. Um, so your president wants to do what's called an unprecedented 4-day athletic event that will feature high school athletes from across the country.
I didn't call him president.
Um,
Say the word president, but now
it
now
it will feature.
I
I did that on purpose.
don't
I'm fanning the flames, sir. Um, so of course he focused on making sure it's going to be one young man and one young woman from each state and each territory. But of course, him throwing shade. He promises that there will be no men playing in women's sports. You're not going to see that. You'll see everything but that. um, and this is also a segue to him announcing the UFC fight night on the front lawn of the White House in June. So that is also kind of a it's coinciding. It's also going to compete or coincide with the FIFA World Cup, which has 11 featured U.S. game sites, which includes New York, Houston, Atlanta, Miami, Philadelphia, Los Angeles, Seattle, and Santa Clara of the San Francisco Bay Area. So, yeah, he wants to be at the center of all this. And he's calling on all of the commissioners from all the sports to kind of come together to kind of help with his vision, whatever the hell that may be.
I feel like, and I could be very wrong, but I feel like I guess he couldn't, but I feel like this should have been like in the works 2 years ago
Right.
to land. I mean, maybe they can make it happen quicker, but like to land, I feel like this had to be in the works 2 years ago, not like right now. Trying to see if you can make it work. I mean, these commissioners have leagues to run. They actually have like professional billion-trillion-dollar leagues that they need to run. So I'll leave it at that. I'm just going to leave it at that. You can go ahead, but I'm gonna leave it at that. You go ahead.
Well, so the NFL started doing certain things in honor of the anniversary of the signing of the Declaration of Independence by
Why? Because football.
having.
They
They
but go ahead.
will be having officials will use American 250 branded coins for the pregame and overtime coin tosses, which will be later auctioned off for charity.
No, I bet it will. Bet it will. First of all, okay. I'm glad you said that because I didn't know that. But I'm glad you said that. So I feel like the only time, and please correct me if I'm wrong, Miguel, or anybody that's watching, the only time we even see the coin, both sides of the coin, in any athletic event is the Super Bowl. I feel like this is the only time they say this side is, and they put the camera on it. This
Right.
side is heads. It has the whatever the
Mhm.
beehive with the river and the mountains running in it, and this side is tails with the Super Bowl logo. You know what I mean? Like so, flipping of the coin with specially commemorated United. Who gives a flying filth, flooring filth about this damn coin? Kudos, NFL is going to be auctioned off for charity, supposedly, whatever. Great. Who gives a good god darn about a coin? What's going to be on the coin that we ain't never going to see? We ain't
Nor
never going
will.
to see. And if the coin is not in this year's Super Bowl, it ain't going to make no sense to be in next year's Super Bowl. You can have every team do the flip coin with the coin next season during the season, but we don't see that part, so it doesn't really matter. And
Well, it's also him throwing wanting to be. He wanted to inject himself into the Super Bowl, and especially after bad. It was announced that Bad Bunny was going to be the halftime show, and further instigated by Bad Bunny, which I believe I read a story where he's actually going to be performing in a dress for LGBTQ. So I
okay.
allegedly the conversation is to we're trying to bring in all people. You know what I mean? We'll see how that goes.
Okay, you kind of blindsided me with that one. First of all, let me put it to you like so. Let me just say, and I feel like Bad Bunny was a Trump supporter at one time, and then kind of
Well,
flipped his lie as allegiance
it was the ICE thing, and there was another story I read today that ICE will be present
at
at
the
the
Super
Super
Bowl.
Bowl. At the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I did hear that. Um,
So, but yeah, ever since the whole ICE thing started with the immigration thing started, and then ICE started raiding specific cities and started targeting, black and brown people. Um, then it became,
hey, hey,
his political stand that,
and now Caucasian people too.
and now Caucasian, yeah, and not to get political or any, thing, whatever. We were talking about that at work today, and somebody had made a statement that now things are going to get done now that Caucasian
Maybe,
will get it. Maybe so, but
maybe it's for another show at another time.
yeah.
We can start a show with sports and politics.
Ooh,
we can we can
ooh, that sounds kinky.
we can do that. Um, let's move on to something that I'm gonna put your slideshow up now, Miguel. That okay?
Oh God.
We're gonna talk about this. So what you're seeing there is all right. So Miguel, you might know a little bit more because I didn't read the article. I just kind of got it from you. But here's what so in the NBA is big on specialized commemorate. I shouldn't say the NBA. There special commemorized sneakers have become a thing, especially in the NBA when it comes to like the All-Star game and stuff like that, or Christmas Day. You'll see a Christmas Day pair of sneakers that somebody like LeBron, as you're seeing there, is wearing. You know, Kyrie Irving, Kobe Bryant used to have a pair of Christmas sneaks come out every year. You know, whoever, whatever the case may be, Steph Curry, whatever the case may be, right? So right now, what you're looking at, you see Martin Luther King, you see LeBron James, and you see Lorraine Motel and all like that. So Nike's putting out a commemorative sneaker that I believe LeBron James is going to wear, and it's commemorating Martin Luther King. Now, the way that they are honoring this is the colorway of the shoe is the same colorway of the Lorraine Motel. And for those that may not know, the Lorraine Motel is the hotel in which the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King was assassinated, murdered. Um, and our question was to you, the audience, to the people, is this tone deaf? Is this a tone deaf thing? To me personally, it's kind of, and you can put your comments in the chat. You know, it's very. I think it's tone deaf. Like it's strange to me because you're honoring Dr. King by I mean, you're kind of highlighting his assassination. Okay, I compare it to, let's say they wanted to honor Charlie Kirk, who was murdered last year on a college campus. Would you commemorate him by putting something together that is the school colors of the school and where in which he was murdered? Like that's very, I don't know. For me, that doesn't fly for me. That doesn't fly for me. Now I know, the sneaker game is really now about collections and it's really about, commemorative and people might buy these and never really wear them. They just kind of display them. So like the story is cool story. But I'm not sure, Miguel. I'm not sure how I feel about this one. I'm gonna let you speak on because I don't want to take all the time up because I will. Um, there's a good shot that Miguel has of the shoe right there. Miguel, what do you think about this?
Yeah, I don't know. It was like I said. I think when you and I were talking yesterday about this, I was like, you could have done something else. You could have had a picture of him with the Washington Monument behind him when he was doing his speech, his "I Have a Dream" speech. There's so many other ways to honor the man, but to even go down to the point where you're using the same colors that were used from the motel that he was shot in, and the pictures of it, he's literally laying there with a towel over his face with his head blown off, just about. Because every time I see the Lorraine, that font and that motel, I see that image, and to
Mhm.
me, you know what I
Yeah,
mean. And I can
yeah.
only imagine, the family. Nike did respond to the criticism. It said Nike said that when it used the controversial color, it was looking at it from a different perspective. In 1991, the Lorraine Motel was transformed into the National Civil Rights Museum to preserve the site and honor Dr. King and the American Civil Rights Movement. The museum was the intended reference to the shoe color, not its predecessor. Um, the vice president of Nike said that the design is so subjective, and some people the design will resonate with, and others maybe less so. And obviously, that becomes a little bit more charged when you have bigger principles at play. I think the intent, though, was really to pay homage to Dr. King, his life, and his legacy. So I guess if that's the premise, if that was the goal, were you successful in it? Um, First off, the shoe will be released to the public February 24th. It's going to cost $210. Kids versions are only 165. Um,
Much for the babies.
right. But this is where I think it kind of there were 9 games slated to be played on Martin Luther King Day, and the Lakers were not on the schedule to play that day. You know, so at least have the shoe on that day to represent it. But whatever.
Good
Um,
point.
I just have this thing about certain. It's one like if it's on a shirt, that's one thing. But I don't know. Sneakers are like you said. It's like about collection, and I think because sneakers cost so much, you know, it even sneakers have become politicized, like with the Donald Trump shoe, and um, did you buy your
No. No.
America shoes? More than $100, let alone $215, whatever these cost. But
I think it's sad what happened to the shoe game.
it is because it slowly knocked certain people out of the price range, but people are in debt over it. You know what I mean? It's like it's dumb to me. I don't understand it. Nikes aren't even comfortable, but whatever.
I I agree. Like it's just sad what has happened to it, and it didn't become apparent to me what really happened to the sneaker game until I went to go early and stand in line for a pair of sneakers that I really wanted, and I get there and I'm probably 30th person in line, and come to find out they only had like seven of the sneakers there. Like I can remember, and here I am being that old guy, right? And then we're gonna move. We're gonna move on real quick because we're gonna move on. I can remember. I can remember getting sneakers weeks and weeks and weeks after they were released at a regular shoe store. It's not the case anymore. Like that's not how it happens anymore. The shoe game has changed, and it's a shame. And it kind of it kind of can be a separator now. Like it's one of the new separators of you got a mean shoe game, or you just whatever it is when you don't have a mean shoe game. But now it's become a almost like a have and have not type thing. It's about exclusivity. So yeah, it's sad that that has happened because I was never a sneakerhead, but I was a liker of sneakers. But now, like you said, these $200 something. This would have been a pair of sneakers I would have liked to have gotten to wear in the summertime with some shorts or something. But $200 something, I'm not paying that. I'm in my 40s. Like, I'm not paying that. Um, I'd rather not. I could spend $200 better somewhere else, and that, my friends, is the old head in me talking. um, I know we're running short on time, so there's a couple things that we're going to have to move to next week, and I completely skipped over one thing. That actually can get mentioned later, but Duke quarterback. There's a whole saga is going down in at Duke University with their quarterback. We could talk about that next week. And Allen Iverson, man, some controversial things going on with Allen Iverson. We could probably move. We'll talk about that next week as well. But Miguel has another video for us. And after the video, we're going to talk about Bill Belichick not being voted into the Hall of Fame. But before we do that, does this video need any type of introduction?
No.
Let it rip.
You big dummy.
What was that? And anytime the video ends with the Tony Yayo at the end with that puts the cherry on top of the
Yes.
because it's always perfect because that's really your reaction.
Yeah. Like
Like
really?
what are you thinking? Like really? I love that Tony Ayo meme.
Yeah, that's the best.
That just puts the icing on the cake for some of these videos. You know what? I'm gonna see that one more time. Can I? Am I? Come on, man! You weren't even close. You weren't even close. Excuse me. You wasn't even close. What is going on?
Charge it to his body, not his mind or his heart.
I'm gonna charge it. Well, not the heart, but I'm gonna charge it to his mind and his body. Because what the hell was you thinking? And it looked
Exactly.
like your body just didn't have it to get up there. But I know what you was thinking. You was thinking highlight. You was thinking because you bounced that. You was thinking highlight. But it looks like you've aged out of the highlight reel. Okay. Just a little bit. You aged
Just a
out of
little
the
bit, a
highlight.
little bit.
There comes a time. So okay, real quick. I'm real quick. There comes a time in every weekend warrior's life where every athlete's life really, but especially the weekend warrior. There comes a time where okay, you are in the game and you're figuring it out. You're in the prime of your career and everything looks good. And then you kind of get a little on the downslide, okay? And then there's right after the downslide is the point where we realize, as Danny Glover would say, I'm too old for this stuff.
Hmm.
Okay. He is right at the edge of the downslide, but just before he hit the I'm too old for this part. That's where he is on the slope scale. I just made that up just now so y'all can criticize it how y'all want.
Well
um,
done, sir.
Bill Belichick. Bill
Mm.
not voted, not a first time ballot Hall of Famer, which I feel like we all kind of just assumed he would be a first ballot Hall of Famer. Um, but he needed 40 out of 50 votes and he fell short of that. Miguel, your thoughts on Bill Belichick not being inducted into Hall of Fame on this ballot?
I say good.
Okay. And why do you say that?
He's a cheater.
Okay.
All right, so I'm being melodramatic. No, but I think if there is a couple of challenges, I think it would be not even Deflategate, but Spygate, because he was actually caught doing it. And the bigger conspiracy to me is the fact that they destroyed all the evidence. But hey, who am I? I'm not the man on the grassy knoll, right? But um, I just think that moment, because I mean it cost him the highest fine in the history of sports. He got fined $500,000. His organization lost 2 draft picks. The team was fined a couple $1 million, so it was a really really big deal. And granted, yeah, he won I think 3 more Super Bowls after that, 2 more than Chuck Noll from the Steelers, 4 more than the great Tom Landry, even though hey, he only won two um, Super Bowls. And I know he wore the fedora, but he looked like a penis with a head on. Um, so he's won the most Super Bowls in the history of football. I get it, but just like with every player or every coach, there's always like that that 1 or 2 things that may hold them back. Billy Martin was one of the greatest in-game managers of all time, and he won 5 World Series as a player, one as a manager of the New York Yankees. But you know, some of the things that held him back were his abuse of women, and him always getting fired, and Um, but players, swear by him, but conduct, it plays a factor. But that I think if anything held him back, it was those things, the cheating scandal.
I will say the same thing I say for every single Hall of Fame vote that we discuss on this show. Hall of Fame voting should not be in the hands of reporters. It should not be in the hands. I understand that they're covering the game. It should not be in the hands of reporters. Hall of Fame voting should be in the hands of the Hall of Fame.
Gotcha. That
Should be.
makes sense. That makes sense because I don't think it should be. I don't think it should be in the hands of the fans either, because then people like Lenny Dykstra would get into the Hall of Fame, and we don't need people like him in the Hall of Fame.
Now, I have a question for you because I had a whole way I wanted to combat this or discuss it, but I want to ask you this because I'm kind of changing it up now based on some of the things you said, and I'm going to ask you this, putting you on the spot. No right answer. There will be a right answer, but not for you necessarily. Who gets into the Hall of Fame first, based on the things you just said? Bill Belichick or Barry Bonds?
I knew you were going to ask about that. I knew it.
Now let me say this. Let me put this in there. NFL never technically said that Bill Belichick was guilty of doing this stuff. He got fined, the team got, but they never really said, yeah, he did it. They did it. They just kind of destroyed the evidence. They didn't want you to see anything and all like that. They fined them because of the speculation. They fined them because of the stuff that they found, but they just never came out and said this is what it is. This is what happened. All they did was fine them, and punish them. But they never really said, yeah, he cheated. I guess they can't. But in the same hand, Barry Bonds also he's never tested positive for anything. He was also never he's never been caught
Well,
cheating.
well, that's not true. He did test positive, but the claim was he. Remember, it was the cream. So he had arthritis, and he had arthritis in his elbows. That's why he used the cream on his elbows and biceps and stuff like that. He claims that he was unaware that it had any extra substance or anything like that. Um, but yeah, after that, then yeah, there was no other positive tests. So, um, but yeah, so there was never any official admittance of wrongdoing. You know,
So who
but
gets in first? I'll tell you right now, I think Bill Belichick gets in first. And I think that's because I expected him to get in this time. But why you think about that, I'm going to read a couple of statements why you think about that. Rob Gronkowski, Bill Belichick's one of his former tight ends, he publicly criticized the exclusion of Bill Parcells, saying it was asinine. I didn't even know Gronk knew what that meant. But
ask him to spell it.
yeah, so which I'll be honest with you, before right now, that me seeing the word, I wouldn't have been able to spell it. I ain't gonna lie to you. But he said, he says it's asinine that Bill Belichick is not in. Tom Brady, his former quarterback, with which he won 6 Super Bowls with as a head coach. He says he doesn't understand it, and he emphasized that Bill Belichick deserves to be recognized as a first ballot Hall of Famer. Um, so, he said he's going to get into the Hall of Fame. At the end of the day, he's going to get in the Hall of Fame, so he's not worried about that. But he does say that he's saddened that he's not a first ballot Hall of Famer. And you know what, Miguel? There's a lot of weight on that first ballot thing. The thing is, and this is also a reason I say reporters should not be the Hall of Fame voters. Reporters will do stuff like not vote for Ichiro because they don't feel like he should be unanimous. You know what I mean? Like they'll do stuff like that.
That's what they did with Derek Jeter.
But Derek Jeter was unanimous, right? He was the only unanimous ever, wasn't he? Or was there one
No,
that did?
no,
I
no,
know there's
no.
one that didn't vote for Ichiro.
So was it Ichiro or Jeter that said that in their speech? They actually called out the one writer that one of them said it in their speech. They called them out for, and that one writer who didn't think I should get in, whatever.
Yeah.
Um,
Okay, so what? It wasn't Ichiro that was unanimous. Was it Jeter or was it Rivera? Was Rivera the unanimous one? Well, we could look. It doesn't matter. 'Cause I know we running short on time, but excuse me. The weight put on the first, like if you're a Hall of Famer, you're a Hall of Famer. Like why do you say okay, not this time? Not this time. If you're a Hall of Fame worthy, you're Hall of Fame worthy, and it's not going to change because to be Hall of Fame worthy, your career is over. So if I'm not worthy of Hall of Fame in the on my first ballot, why am I worthy on the second ballot? If I was worthy on the second ballot, then I'm Hall of Fame worthy.
right. So the only player that was unanimous was Mariano Rivera. He got 100% of the vote.
It was Jeter that called the guy out, I believe.
It was Jeter that called the guy out, but it was Jeter and Ichiro that both had the one vote to
Yeah.
not be known. And then I think Ken Griffey had like 2 votes. So those were the top 4 unanimous. But
So real quick, Belichick or Bonds, who gets him first? I gave you all that time. Just pick one.
what I shut up. What I want is Barry Bonds, but I think it's going to be Belichick.
I'm in total agreement with you. I want Barry Bonds should have been in, but I think Belichick gets in.
But with the Barry Bonds thing, I think it goes back to, and not that this guy's ever going to go to the Hall of Fame because he was just too injury prone, but he was the first to get a coaching job after he admitted to steroid use, and that's Mark McGuire. But it goes back to Mark McGuire's treatment or attitude towards the press. Because remember, Barry Bonds had a chip on his shoulder his entire career. And I think that goes back to your point why writers should not be involved in the voting of players in the Hall of Fame. It's the reason why Dick Allen was never able to live to see him be inducted into the Hall of Fame because he was held back because of 5 or 6 writers from the 60s that were racist as hell, and they were all pissed off because he got a famous popular white guy traded for being a racist. So
yeah, it like that need. I think the Hall of Fame thing needs to be looked at. I mean,
yeah, as long as it's not the writers and it's not the fans.
right? I believe it should be the Hall of Fame itself, and not even a
It's
committee.
fair.
I mean, the people that are enshrined in the Hall of Fame should have the votes.
They actually may be tougher than the writers and the.
They might be.
They might be
You're
tougher.
absolutely right. They might. They probably will be
Yeah.
because Hall of Fame is earned.
Yeah.
It's earned, and it's earned on the field, on the court, on the ice, whatever the case may be.
I'd agree with that. Absolutely.
Miguel has decided that he's going to stump me today. Oh Lord. Okay, so all right. So if you're new to the show, this is what we do at the end of the show. Miguel selects a player from one of the major sports that has some ties to Philadelphia. He gives me the jersey numbers of all the teams he's played for. As you can see, this one has many jersey numbers and some accolades. And this person is a 6-time All-Star and a 3-time Silver Slugger, and has worn 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, 13, 13 different jersey numbers for a bunch of different teams. I'm not even going to guess because we're short on time, but just tell me the teams.
The Toronto Blue Jays, the Pittsburgh Pirates.
Do me a favor. Tell me the teams in the order that you have up there.
Always
If you're
do
able.
that crap. Okay, in order.
Because you say, yeah, because some of these. So all right, so I'm just gonna get. So is the first one like the Orioles or the Astros?
Orioles. All right. Baltimore Orioles,
Seattle.
Tampa Bay Devil Rays,
Damn. Okay.
Kansas City Royals, Pittsburgh Pirates, Toronto Blue Jays, Atlanta Braves, New York Mets, Philadelphia Phillies.
Give me the time frame of this person's career,
2004 to 2018.
and he finished with the Phillies.
Yes.
Are you able to give me the position?
Outfield. Wait. Outfield and third base.
Outfield and third base. Ibanez?
No.
I'm gonna tell you right now, I have no idea, right? And with all those teams, like it's just too many teams. I think I'm overstimulated to be able to be able to like figure out.
What? Okay. How about if I break it down like this? The two teams he played the longest with were the Pittsburgh Pirates and the Toronto Blue Jays.
And his career lasted from 2004 to 2018, and he started with the Orioles.
Yes.
2004 to 2018, started with the Orioles, then the Rays, and then who?
And then Pittsburgh and then Toronto.
Orioles, Rays, Pittsburgh, and Toronto.
I think what throws it off too is that every team he played for, he had like 2 to 3 different numbers, which is annoying.
Yeah,
I don't know
then
why
that
players
makes
do that.
damn near impossible for me. And he wore 12 and 19 for the Phillies. 2018 was the. What did he play for the Phillies? Third base or outfield?
Yes.
Okay. Trying to think. Who do we have? I know it's not. I can't even think of the third baseman's name during our. I'm just going to say the process years of the Philadelphia Phillies. Um, Miguel. I can't think of his name, but I know it's not him.
Michael
Um,
Franco, no.
yeah, Franco. Yeah, I know it's not him. Um, but who was before him is what I'm trying to think.
So when he was with the Phillies, he did not play third base. He was DH.
He's a DH. Damn, how
Yeah.
long DH been in the?
Oh no! I'm sorry. I apologize. No, you're right. It was the year after he retired that they implemented the DH for the National League.
Oh, uh, mm. All right, let me see. Oh man, you got me. You definitely got me. This one's tough. This one's tough. This one's tough. You got me, Miguel. I don't know. You got me. Who
All
is it?
right. Are you ready?
Yeah.
He hit possibly one of the most famous postseason home runs in the history of baseball.
Now you wanna.
Jose Bautista.
I wouldn't have guessed that because I forgot he was even with the Phillies. I
Right.
completely forgot he was with the Phillies.
And I remember the reaction when the Phillies got him. Everybody's like, wasn't he the guy that got knocked out by Odor? Like knocked the flip out.
He got knocked out.
But he's known for that home run where he stood there and then threw the bat. That was a great home run, though.
It was.
Grand slam, no less. And that whole series was a great playoff series against the Rangers.
I'm looking at the Blue Jays picture, right, that you have there.
Right.
And it's obvious to me that he's not looking at the ball, but I'm just looking at him, and I thought he was looking at the ball, and I'm looking at the people in the background, and they're looking in the totally opposite direction, which kind of makes me wonder what he might be looking at, if anything.
Might be
Might not,
what?
huh?
What that he might be what?
I said I'm wondering what he's looking at, if any. He might not even be looking at anything.
So if you when you look at the video, he hits the ball and he stands there and he does this and then he throws the bat like 90 feet and then starts running.
Yeah,
So that's the part where he's throwing the bat. Yeah.
it's one of the dopest bat flips. Yeah, one of the dopest bat flips I remember. You got me. You got me. I got like what 2, 3 in a row, but you got me. You're back on the winning side.
Back on the schneid.
Congratulations to you. So we got some things that we're going to talk about. Of course, next week we're giving you our Super Bowl prediction. So make sure you stick with us next week. Also, the Sixers are down by 8 right now with 8 minutes left to go in the game. So right after you leave us, you can go over there and check them out, and you tell them that we sent you over there so they can come check us out too. Anyway, any last words, Miguel, before we get out of here?
Man, stay warm out there. Check on your people, especially your elders, mothers, fathers. Yeah, just stay safe, stay warm, and see you next week.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I second everything you just said there, Miguel. And with all that being said, we're going to get up out of here. We appreciate y'all hanging with us here on the Check Swing Podcast with myself, and of course the Brains and Brawn situation, my man Coach Santa, who's down in
Baltimore, having big fun.
We will talk to you next week, next Wednesday at 8:00, Lord willing, like we're supposed to.
We're
All right.
supposed to.
We love y'all for loving us. We'll talk to y'all next week. We out of here. Peace.
Until we meet again.